And here we are live with a premiere. Thank you so much. I'm so happy that she's joining me tonight on this stream. It's actually her first time being on a live stream, and I consider myself very lucky and privileged to have one of my favorite YouTubers right next to me. Hello, RM. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Nadine, thank you very much for inviting me to your channel. I watch your channel religiously, so it is actually my privilege. So there you go. And I must confess, I'm just a little bit nervous because this is my first live stream. So thanks for inviting me to do this.
You're more than welcome. Maybe for those of you who haven't heard of you, maybe you want to describe your channel a little bit before we start?
Yeah, so I started my channel last year, and I love music, all kinds of music, all kinds of genres. And I've been watching so many YouTube channels and enjoying the content. And I thought maybe, I wonder if I could partake in this. And quite honestly, it was so reassuring to know that there were other people out there, especially women like yourself, Nadine, who were into records. So it was just really reassuring and exciting to see YouTubers in general talk about records. So I thought maybe I'll give it a go. And I've been very fortunate because the YouTube algorithm gods have been very kind to me. They've smiled down on me. So I'm very grateful for people who stop by to watch. So I love indie music. I love jazz. I love gospel. I really love gospel and hip hop. I love hip hop. And because of my personal background, I feel like I have a bit of more like a personal connection with that.
Awesome, thank you. So I will put the link once we've done with the stream of RM's channel in the comments, so everybody can check out her channel. I can only recommend it. Like I said, fantastic channel. Always watching it.
Thank you.
So, RM, before we started in the backstage area, oh, JB already added you and sub to your channel. Thanks, JB.
Thank you.
Won't be disappointed.
Thank you. Thank you.
So when we were in the backstage area, you asked me about how I buy records. I'm trying not to do it online, especially not on Discogs, because I have been so disappointed in the past because grading is kind of issue. So VG Plus seems to be totally different from many people.
Yeah. I really try to support my go-to local record shop. He mainly sells used records. And even though I know I may be paying a few pounds more, I'm in the United Kingdom, it's okay with me because it's not just about buying the record, it's establishing a relationship. So he knows what my tastes are. So when something comes in, he actually holds it for me. And then he texts me and says, hey, this just came in. Interested? Right? And then I'll say, how much? And his grading, I said, his grading is excellent, by the way. So I trust him completely. I've never had a lemon. I've never had any Duff vinyl. And then, I remember one time I bought vinyl record from him and I played it. It was slightly warped. So I just casually mentioned it to him the next time I went to a shop. And he said, you know what? You got a credit. Just pick a record. You don't need to return it to me because I can't sell it. I'm going to throw it away. So, it's that kind of relationship. And, it's just really wonderful. And buying online can never make up for that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I love your record store. That's awesome. And the pricing, is he checking Discogs and telling you what the price is, or how does he do that?
Yeah, he does check on Discogs. He always asks for a fair price. In fact, there were many times that I've actually said to him, you're underpricing this record. Okay. So I'm happy to give you more, give you more. And he's like, no, don't worry about it, because I know you're going to come back and buy more. So I thought, okay. And, I think sometimes when people offer you a gift, it's really nice just to accept and not make a fuss. And, then I go back and I'll buy a few more the next time I see him.
Wow.
So
great. So, Wrecked Trousers Vinylist. Once again, another, And
Oh, thank
Marius, do me a favor, while you're listening in the background, while you are driving, drive safe, please. All right. So RM, you mentioned that you are into hip hop, and I've seen a video on your channel about hip hop records. And my knowledge about hip hop records is not so big. I know Grandmaster Flash and some of these, but I really adored your video. And so I could show some of these records, and we talk a little bit about this. And everybody in the gallery is, of course, invited. We by far no experts on this, is invited to add informations or anything you would like. Sum this up. So this is just a casual talk between two women who love vinyl, especially with RM showing some hip hop records. And good evening to everybody. Vinyl Dreamscape. Guten Abend. Oh yeah. So Marius, as long as you two ladies don't distract me, I should be fine. Okay, we try not to do this, Marius, but please drive safe.
Okay. Okay.
All right, Aaron, maybe you want to start with your first record and showing this, and I'll make you big on the screen so people can see the album quite better. So let's see, what do you have?
Yeah, so my collection is actually quite small, and I was very excited to learn that it was the 50th anniversary this year. I just could not believe that it's been 50 years since hip hop actually came on the scene. So I actually grew up with a lot of hip hop music, a lot of funk. When I was growing up in Oakland, California, that's a predominantly Black city. Well, at that time it was. So I had soul music, R&B, hip hop all around, all the time. Okay, so I think this one you probably seen, Nadine, right?
Yeah, oh, I love it.
Furious 5, right? Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yeah. Brooklyn Bridge. So these guys, I'm not gonna cite the dates because there are too many dates and I don't want to confuse myself and all your viewers. But this has White Lines on there. This is their studio album, has White Lines and The Message. So those two songs are considered hip hop classics. And basically, when hip hop started, it wasn't even called hip hop. No one even knew what to call it. You know, the person who actually, kicked off hip hop, he even said in an interview, he said he couldn't even describe the music, you know. And then what happened was people started calling it hippity hop, which in fact is actually, I learned recently, is a derogatory term apparently for Black people and allegedly how they walk. It was a way of mocking them back in the day. So it was real education for me when someone made a comment on my video saying as much. So I did thank him and I asked it, you know, please tell me more about that. You know, I'd love to learn more about the history, right? So this LP is fantastic. The Message is a song about the social situation for inner city Black communities like in the Bronx. Okay, so Grandmaster Mel. This is for White Lines, the 12-inch single. I want to tell you something first. The Message was a huge hit. And what happened was nobody wanted to sing it initially because a lot of, Grandmaster Mel and the Furious 5, the band, the group, they felt that it was too serious. It was too, it was like a social hot potato, right? And, you know, hip hop was supposed to be fun. You know, it's about breaking, dancing. But what happened was one of the Furious 5 members, Mel, he decided, okay, I'm going to sing it, right? And he decided to sing it. And it was a huge hit. And what happened was on the record label that actually says Grandmaster Flash singing it with Mel, which was not the case. So you have a record naming Grandmaster Flash, but Mel was actually doing the singing. So it's just quite interesting. No one wanted to sing it. Wow. So you can see the picture, right? This is quite hard hitting.
I'll make you back. Yeah, please.
Yeah, so you've got the lyrics here. The artwork's fantastic. The photography, you know, got two people who are either drugged out or, you know, homeless. And, you know, New York in the late 70s, early 80s, and I've seen it myself. I was still living in the United States at the time. I used to have to take trips to New York. It really was like this. So this is not an embellished image of the situation. Yeah.
Yes, if you see the music video from Grandmaster Flash, the message, you can really see, and he's also about like people peeing in the streets, and
Yeah.
he's rapping about this, and you really see the intro I made. This is done from the music video, and you can really see the poetry. And hip hop was like the movement against disco because people in the Bronx, they couldn't afford to go to Studio 54. And having a good time and all of this. They were living in the Black Bells and project homes. And this was kind of, for as far as I understood it, the movement against it. So they started to create their own thing, to have something of their own.
Absolutely, well said. They were so they felt like that whole disco Studio 54, the Great Life, Good Times by the Sheik. It wasn't good times for them. That they were completely divorced from that situation. So it was very interesting. I want to tell you the person who wrote the song, the message. He was actually a school teacher, and then
Really?
he became a record producer for Sugar Hill. And this is the first classic rap song, old school, golden era classic song that has no sampling. Is truly composed, it's original piece of work. And the record producer, he talked about how he wrote the song. He didn't have to look far for inspiration because all he did was look outside his window, outside where he lived. There was crime, homelessness. The social situation was terrible. You know, you had unemployed people, so it was easy for him to put this together. So I thought that was quite interesting. So this was very organic and no sampling because, as we know, hip hop music, there's so much sampling.
Yeah, and James Brown is a huge influence, I think, as well. So
Yeah.
Santax is saying, as a native New Yorker, I can tell you, people do still pee on the streets sometimes. So yeah. Also, there's a lot of, I've seen some documentaries of people in Philadelphia with all the drug problems, and they're lying in the streets and walking around like zombies. So I think that this album, and especially the message, is as relevant today as back then, because I think history is kind of repeating itself.
Yeah. And I also learned that I think I don't know if I'm mistaken, but the message, there was this huge hit with, the Sugar Hill Gang doing,
Rapper's Delight.
yeah, Rapper's Delight. Apparently that, a lot of the DJs, I'm saying hip hop at that time, they weren't called hip hop rappers, but the DJs there who were making the music, they just felt that was they had no credibility because it was all about fun, whereas they were not singing about what was happening in their hood, right? So that's you had a lot of divisions within the hip hop community apparently. So Nadine, do you want me to just randomly show you some of these?
Yeah, sure. Just go ahead. Take your
Okay,
time. We are
so
not in a hurry.
these
There
are
won't
just
be a commercial break up here, so no worries.
so Beastie Boys, right? Everybody,
Oh, yeah.
you guys recognize Beastie Boys? This is a UK pressing, and these classic LPs that I'm showing you, they're selling for quite a bit of money. If you get the first pressing, US pressing, it could sell for. I wrote this down. Where is it? Here we go. Beastie Boys. Okay, so this was, by the way, the fastest selling rap album of all time. Okay. Def Jam Records, okay, produced by Rick Rubin, managed by Russell Simmons, two heavy hitters in the hip hop community, right? So for a mint first UK pressing, it's selling for about £50. For a USA first pressing, on Discogs, one sold for about, I'll use US dollars, so about $250, which is quite a bit of money, right?
Wow.
$250.
Wow.
But this is the UK one, yeah.
The Grandmaster Flash, how expensive is this? I think there are more available than the Beastie Boys, right? Or is this also kind of?
Funnily enough, I got these actually at a not my go-to record shop, but another record shop, and it wasn't going for that much. But this was before the vinyl revival. This is when you could pick this up for a $5. £5.
Wow.
You know,
Okay.
okay, or like this one. I think I bought this for about £7.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but like you said, there are many more of these out there, and I looked up on Discogs, and I think they're selling for about maybe 15, £20 for a copy.
But that's
So,
quite an increase. That's quite an
yeah,
increase of
it is, isn't it?
money.
Yeah, yeah, and so
From the Beastie Boys, what's your favorite track? Oh, before we get to that cover, what's your
now
favorite
wait.
track? No, no worries. I love the cover. For the Beastie Boys, what's your favorite track on it? Also, why is that so important to you, that album?
So for me, where's the Beastie Boys? I'll just show. I just felt that to have a white group be part of being embraced by the hip hop community at that time, it was just testament that music has no boundaries. If you love the music, right? If you're a white artist singing, doing hip hop and rapping, it was incredible, and I don't think it could happen. I'm not sure if it could happen today. I don't know, because things are so divisive right now in this world. Vanilla Ice, when he came out, I didn't know this until later, but when Vanilla Ice came out with this big hit, Ice Ice Baby, right?
Mm.
And he was offered $1.5 million US to sign with a record label. And the record label actually said to him, "We want you to go commercial. We're going to do it more, commercial friendly," right? He said, "No way." And they said, "Well, we'll give you $1.5 million." Okay, where do I sign? Right? That's what he did. But so people thought he was a novelty act, but what happened was he was actually the opening act for Public Enemy. He had been gigging for 3 years. He was a proper rapper, and then his audience were mainly Black hip hop lovers, right? But suddenly, when he went commercial, and it was this white act, right? Then he kind of lost credibility, apparently, within the hip hop community. It's actually quite sad. And then there was a show called In Living Color in America. It came out in the, I think, 1989, 1990. It poked fun at the rappers who went commercial, apparently. People like MC Hammer, You Can't Touch This, because that was what was called like pop. And he made it entertaining, and he wasn't singing about, a violent gangster life in the inner city. It was just about performing and having fun, and having a lot of people giving a good show. And to this day, apparently, I saw an interview on YouTube. He just felt that people were a bit jealous that it became so successful. So sorry, I'm going on a bit. I want to show you.
No, I was just thinking about LL Cool J. He became, in the late 80s, he was, I think, the first rapper to get into a ballad and sing about feelings and being emotional, instead of saying, okay, like songs from like Public Enemy, you say we have an issue and there's problems and all of this. So I was just thinking about him. And Dr. Winston O'Boogie is asking if you're living in the UK, and I said you're living in the UK.
Oh, hi there. Yes, I'm living in the UK. Hello. So this LL Cool J album, I really love, because for me, I think it's quite, sometimes a story can be told with a picture. And I thought it was very interesting, his cover. He actually picked, this is his old high school. He was a high school dropout. And then the back is actually him boxing, okay? And I'm not sure. I'm not sure many people realize this, but he was living with his grandmother, and this is, I believe, the basement of his grandmother's house. So, in America, you have a lot of families where you have single mothers, or children, Black children, they're raised by their grandparents, because of the social situation for some challenging social situation for a lot of people in the inner cities for the Black community. For whatever reasons, a lot of children end up living with their grandparents. So I thought it was quite telling. He was a high school dropout, and he showed a picture of his grandmother's house. So I just felt he was kind of like a sensitive person. Something about it, I thought, oh, this was quite meaningful for him to have that on his album. I mean, he could have been driving a car with a lot of bling, right? But he didn't.
Exactly.
And I thought, it was just like saying, hey, I made it. High school dropout. Yep. I lived with my grandmother. I lived in the basement. But hey, you know what? I'm going to be okay. Yeah.
So Vinyl Screamscape says Vanilla Ice became known as the epitomizing white appropriation of black culture. That's a tongue, in Germany we say Zungenbrecher. It's a tongue breaker for me to spell that out. But yeah, you seem to be right. And
that's really a shame because, a lot of people assume that, but he apparently in his own right was a proper rapper from Dallas. And he had been rapping for years until this record company rolled up and offered him, a lot of money. And, as he said in interviews, who wouldn't say no if you're struggling to pay rent? So yeah, it depends on everyone's views, right? Everyone has a different view. Yeah.
And Doc wants to know if there is a hip hop that you will not listen to because of links to gang violence.
Yes, I do. There are a lot that I don't listen to. In fact, that was the reason why I actually started to move away from that gangster, like hardcore music, hip hop. It was going in a direction I for one just didn't feel comfortable with. And I was raised in Oakland, California. So the hip hop scene there is huge. MC Hammer's from there. You got a lot of rappers from there, but there's also a lot of violence. It's always in the news. So I couldn't connect with that at all. So for me, the early days, the golden era of hip hop in the early days, it was more about breakdancing. Okay, you did have the message. I enjoyed that. It was about social commentary, but it wasn't about glamorizing violence. Or expressing anger against the authorities. A lot of anger. It wasn't sitting well with me. So at that time I started moving away from it. But then I went back to it when De La Soul came on the scene. Then you had MC Hammer. You had the Fugees. You had so many. PM Dawn. I love PM Dawn. So you have different horses for different courses. And for me, I was more drawn, to that. So I have to say, PM Dawn, this album, if you could find it, vinyl, pick it up because it's great. I think he's a game changer for hip hop in the 90s. I really do. And, everyone knows about the Fugees, right? So I've got it on CD.
Yeah. So Jefferson is going to add some of the hip hop stuff to his want list.
Oh, excellent. So everyone knows this one, right? N.W.A, Straight Outta Compton.
Wow.
Right? Okay. So for me, this album, I listened to it like a documentary, because it was kind of like biographical. Like these guys were from Compton, and people in California or LA, you will know, Compton is a tough place. It's a pretty hard place to survive and get out, right? So this LP, I made some notes here. Okay, so for a first USA issue in mint condition, it's selling for 150 pounds, so about 170 US dollars used, right, on Discogs. So the last one that sold in mint condition sold for 280 pounds, a USA first issue. Okay, so that's about, I don't know, $310. Yeah.
Wow.
So my copy is a 1990 reissue. Okay, so it's a reissue, UK pressing, and right now there's one selling in mint condition for 75 pounds.
Wow! For how much did you buy it?
I bought this for about 20 pounds. I got this for about 20 pounds at the same record shop where I got the other ones. They had a lot of soul, a lot of hip hop. and it was amazing. And they actually had turntables in the record shop. They had it scattered everywhere. And these guys were awesome. And I'll just tell you a story. So they sold soul records, hip hops, blues, a lot of jazz, right? And then they sold this 45 single. I don't know what exactly it was. They sold it for 45,000 pounds. And they I don't know. It was a 40, right, 7-inch,
Yeah.
and it was so rare and valuable. They sold it for 45,000 pounds, and they decided to close their shop. They closed their shop.
You're kidding.
They closed their shop. Yeah, they thought, well, we've made this money, maybe take a break. So I don't know where they are right now. They might be selling online. I have no idea, but I picked up a lot of my jazz and soul records from them because they're just awesome. And again, I must emphasize this. This was before records came back in style. So I was picking up Teddy Pendergrass for like £4. It was ridiculous, right? Or Michael Henderson, anyone knows Michael Henderson or Gene Carn, those kind of records I was getting for $5 at the most. Yeah. So getting back to someone mentioning about if hip hop records put me off, I'm not gonna listen to it. So I won't actually, but this was made into a movie. It's a song, right? N.W.A. And I think it was for me, it felt like a I felt like it was really a record. I mean, a proper record of life in Compton. Yeah. So,
Wow, so
yeah.
I'm amazed about, so I'm doing streams of Latin music where I was like, oh, this sounds great. I love to have the originals, and people on the stream are telling me, oh, this is now a 500 euro record or dollar, and you're showing now hip hop records are like 300. So it's really going through all genres, this whole price increase of things. But you know what the in quotation marks sad thing about is the Teddy Pendergrass you bought for £5 is still £5. So we can still make a living out of that.
No, don't tell me that. No, I love Teddy. I'm
I
crazy
love
about
him.
Teddy Pendergrass. Oh
Oh,
my goodness. I've got like all his LPs. I am
yeah.
TP. We got to start a fan club.
Yeah, so into TP. He had also a great live recording, his double LP, where he's on the cover and sweating and all of this. And Marius says he would also close the ship if I sold almost 50K on a 7-inch. Maybe it was a bootleg. I don't know. that yeah. Oh, wow, that was
Yeah.
wow.
So I'm doing this quite randomly. I'm sorry. I'm not doing it in chronological order. So
No, we're just having a good time. RM, just sit back and relax. You're doing fantastic.
Well, it never occurred to me to actually look up the value until you said to me, "Oh, give me your list. I'll look up the prices for you." I thought, no, I could do it, right? But I just didn't realize. So Run DMC.
Oh my God.
I love these guys.
Oh.
They are so awesome. So, right. So everyone knows, they did Walk This Way with Aerosmith. You got that hook, and they sampled it, and then they sang it with Aerosmith. That was on the album that came after this one. And wow, well, what can I say? Run DMC. Before they hit it big, I like their earlier stuff too. Like It's Like That. I don't know if people know that song. Right, and their videos were so funny, right? So not only were they badass, but they were funny. And I must tell you that. So when MTV came on board, 1981, right? It was mainly they were playing rock music, right? Rock and pop music. Mm-hmm. So Run DMC was the first hip hop group to have their video featured on MTV, and then because of so Run DMC, so that was a game changer. And then when they realized that MTV realized that they were onto something, right? Because, hip hop was getting bigger and bigger and bigger, but it wasn't mainstream. And then what happened was MTV decided to leverage this. And then they started a daily, it's called Yo MTV Rap. Yeah. Yo MTV Raps. It was a daily program, and then it was fronted by a graffiti artist who, I forget his name. I wrote it down somewhere. Let's see. Anyhow, this graffiti artist, right? He fronted and presented the program, and so it was gaining a lot of traction. So there was more, it was getting more exposure. Yeah. I must say this. That graffiti artist. I need to say his name here. Fab Five Freddy. That's his name. So it's because of him that Blondie, Deborah Harry, basically came up with the song Rapture. So for me, I think that punk music and hip hop music, they are like cousins, because it's like, two groups that established their own culture because they didn't feel like they were part of what was going on or part of the system. So, punk music in the UK, in the 70s, 80s, the economic situation in the UK was bad, right? You had coal strikes, you had a lot of people, unemployment, you had economies, shipbuilding, a lot of industries were shutting down. People were struggling to get jobs. If you lived up in the north of the UK, you were, bad, you got a bad hand there, everything was more centered in London. Then you had Margaret Thatcher and all the policies, right? So that's how the punk movement came out, right? So for me, that's how I see it. And then hip hop is kind of the same thing. They just felt left out. They were not part of, that whole establishment and so forth. So I wanted to show you. So Deborah Harry, right? She sang Rapture, right? 1981 or 82. Rapture, right? That song was a result of Fab Five Freddy introducing her to all the rappers. So he introduced her to Grandmaster Flash, Mel, all the rappers, right? And then she was clubbing at the same club. A lot of punk rock groups and singers and so forth. They used to party at this club called the Negro Club in the East Village in New York. So you would have punk rockers and rappers, hip hop people, like mixing together. So he's one who introduced Deborah Harry, and she sang Rapture. In fact, some of the lines in that song is about Fab Five Freddy. And in the video for that song, you watch the video, all the rappers are in the background.
Yeah. Oh. Okay.
If I may say, I just want to show you something else. So I think
some people ask for the link of your channel. You'll find it on the bottom. It's in the chat. You'll find the link to her channel. So subscribe.
Nadine, if I'm going in the wrong direction, tell me. But I've been making this connection, and it's just my personal view. But I definitely think there's a connection, because Big Audio Dynamite, right? This came out in 1986. They've got a rap song in here, right? The song, it's called, I'll show you, what's the song? Sight CMC, right? They got a rap song. It's great. So, and then here's the surprise one. I was thinking about it. I was thinking, I've heard other rap songs in some of the indie music that I listen to. And here, Cafe Bleu, Paul Weller, right? Godfather of Mod. He is rapping in this song, a gospel side too. So, the influence can't be denied. Hip hop, influenced some of the indie music at the time in the 80s, in my view.
Well, I'm writing down all the albums, and I wish you would have told me before, because I'm sure when I check, they are now a little more expensive, or they're sold.
Awesome. I'll show you. I think this is when I started stepping away from gangster hip hop. So this is Ice-T's album, The Iceberg, Freedom of Speech, Just Watch What You Say. Okay, just watch freedom of what you say. So basically, I must say this: in 1988, I think it was the real turning point for hip hop, for better or for worse, because that's when it really went gangster, right? So you had Ice-T, you got this image. It's pretty hard hitting, isn't it? You know, kind of
Totally.
graphic in a way, because there's a lot of anger, you know, like anti-police anger, anti-authority anger, right? There's Ice-T there. So I can tell you this. I looked this up on Discog, right? So this came out in 1989. So a first USA pressing, if you could find one, sells up to 80 pounds. Yeah, and so a UK issue in mint condition is selling for 60 pounds apparently.
That's still quite expensive, right?
Yeah. So the value's gone up. It's really gone crazy.
Wow.
Crazy. I think I paid a tenner for this one, 10 pounds. Wow. I think, yeah.
Roger, thank you. I enjoy talking to Retro Musing as well. So he loves your passion. Awesome.
I confirm I have not had a glass of wine, or I have not had like 4 cups of coffee or anything like that. But I did just get off work, so I'm a little bit like that, because I was on the road and I didn't want to get stuck in a traffic jam, right? Nadine, yeah, in 1988, that's when I really, I really started to step away from it, because, you know, I like Public Enemy, but then it just got, I don't know, I just started feeling really uncomfortable with the imagery of what they were presenting, right? So this is Public Enemy here. Brother's Gonna Work It Out. This is a 12-inch. Yeah, I think it's cool. And to me, why do I like this 12-inch? To me, it's a commentary, a social commentary of what was going on in America at that time. You know, he's got kind of like this grill. You know, it's really got a lot of attitude. You know, really badass, right? You know, he's got his hat. Because I enjoy. I buy records also based on artwork. You know, because I think that's a lot of it as well. It's not just the songs and the lyrics, it's the imagery. So, you know, Public Enemy in 1988, same year, it's the same year as Ice-T's album. They came out with this album called It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back, okay? That's the name of the album. And that album, they consciously wanted to make a hip-hop concept album. So their concept album was basically Black empowerment, like a Black movement. And then the video, if you watch the video, it's actually, you know, they're out in the street, and then you've got images of Malcolm X, and then you've got their security details, their own personal employee security details were featured in the video, and they were dressed like the Black Panthers. Okay, so I'm not sure if people know who the Black Panthers are. So the Black Panthers, so if I may, I'm just going to explain it very quickly. They were like a Black organization that was created in Oakland, California, my hometown. So it was created in 1966, and it pushed for like Black empowerment, like a Black revolution. And it was created by Huey Newton and Bobby Searle, okay? So, you know, their guys were dressed like paramilitary Black Panther people. So that video, you can imagine, shown on MTV, right? A lot of people got scared. When I say a lot of people, more mainstream conservative white communities got really scared. So 1980 Public Enemy, there was this huge movement to call out all these gangster rapper albums. Okay, so that's what was going on in 1988. And
I remember when I'm thinking of Public Enemy is when they did an appearance on Soul Train, and once they were finished and people were totally freaking out about them, and Don Cornelius looked at them and said, "Wow, that was frightening." So that was a great time.
Yeah, and also I need to say that, or I think it's important to mention that not everyone in the Black community supports hip hop.
Okay,
they don't. Like, for instance, I have a family member. My brother-in-law is a Black American, and I have I discuss this with him a lot. And he says, I don't advocate for gangster lifestyle. I don't advocate for violence. I don't, and I'm not against the police. So, and also there was a movement in America in the 1980s of senior black members of community groups who actually were involved in the civil rights movement in the 1960s. Some of them actually marched with Martin Luther King. They were totally against this gangster rapping, the lyrics that were derogatory towards women, the imagery, the guns, etc., and then all this anti-police and so forth. So I don't know. I just think that's kind of a important footnote to kind of keep in mind, in my view.
All in our views. This is just our own opinion.
Yeah.
Everything.
So I have to say, I love these guys, De La Soul. You've seen this?
God. Yeah.
They're awesome. I love these guys.
I've heard they got into trouble because they were sampling a lot without asking the people for the samples they did. So
that's
that
true.
was quite an expensive album, I think, before it got reissued. Also up here in Germany, the De La Soul first press was at least 50 to 80 euros.
Yeah, it's very expensive. I don't know. I didn't look these up, Nadine. Oh, okay. So this one, look, I still have the price on here. I got this at a charity shop in the UK. It's called Oxfam. I don't know if you've heard of Oxfam. So I paid £20 for this one, and I thought it was a fair price. But guess what? I forgot. I already had a copy.
Oh, wow.
Has that happened to you?
Yeah, sometimes it does. Sometimes it does. But thankfully not on the very expensive stuff. So but yeah, what can I say? You usually say, I have all in my mind, and then you buy it and you're happy to have it. And then one day you thrift through your record collection and say, oh, I have it now 2 times. So, but with De La Soul, you can't go wrong. I love De La Soul. They had a reissue out, I think, this year. They made the reissue of the album, so it gets more available. So I can only recommend. De La Soul is a great,
aren't they? I can tell you, I bought their CD, and then what happened was, I sold it. I think I sold it. I didn't think about it because I was getting rid of stuff, and then I later found out that if you actually had the CD, it was worth a lot of money because, for exactly the reason you said, they got in trouble with all that sampling, and they couldn't reprint more. Yeah. So that CD was really expensive, and like you said, they couldn't do anything. They couldn't stream their songs. They were stuck. Yeah.
So you could have retired also very early on if you would have kept the CD.
Yeah, there you go. My pension would have been sorted out, So everyone knows this. You guys.
Hold on, I'll make it big. Hold on, wow. These women are trained. I tell you that. I want to know what kind of exercise.
Right. So, I don't. Are you familiar with 2 Live Crew?
No, honestly not. I have no clue. But now I've seen the cover.
I'm gonna tell you. So these rappers, apparently they pride themselves on singing and reflecting on their hood, their neighborhood. So like if you have if you're from Oakland and you're a rapper, you wouldn't be rapping about the situation in Chicago or New York City or in the Bronx. You just wouldn't, right? You would have no street cred. So these rappers, 2 Live Crew, they're from Florida. So what do they rap about? What's in Florida? Sun, right? Sand, right? A sexy lifestyle. So that's what they were doing.
So you have to imagine they're sitting all on the beach. They have these heavy gold chains around. It must have been really hot. I tell you that.
Yeah. Life was hard. Life was pretty hard on that beach. I mean, who could afford those, FLA umbrellas? They're just
Yeah,
so expensive, right?
totally.
And
Totally.
clothing is so expensive.
Yes.
You can't afford clothing. So these guys, so do you know what? So they did this, right? And what happened was they were actually not, they were very small time. Because there was proliferation of rappers, right? In the late 80s. They just like a lot. They came out. And when they came out with this, they sang this song. I can't remember the title, Me So Horny. Yeah, it's called Me So Horny. Okay. If you go on YouTube and watch it. Okay. And so it was these conservative groups in America and senior members of the Black community, women who were involved in the civil rights movement. I forget her name, this one lady, but they were so they found this so offensive and pornographic. That's the word for it. And things got, but there's no such thing as bad publicity, right? So what was a small album? What happened was, let me just tell you the story quickly. I'm sorry. So
No
it
worries.
was
Take
a
your time.
couple of white kids bought this album, and they took it home, and their parents were horrified, and that's how it kicked off. So a couple of middle class white kids bought this, okay, in Southern Florida, I think in Dade County, and so then their parents complained, kicked it off. So a court in South Florida ruled that this was too obscene and this album could not be sold, right? But then there was a record shop in Southern Florida who was still selling it, and he got arrested for selling a record. Right? Isn't that mental? Yeah.
Yes.
So I did, as you know, I did that video about hip hop, and I did mention that David Bowie or Bowie, he was doing a concert in, I think, Florida, and in the middle of the concert, he stopped and he pulled this album out apparently and started talking about it, saying he went to a record shop and bought this to show his support. But he did say it wasn't his cup of tea. So.
Yeah. But look how times changed, what was obscene and pornographic back then. And today you open up TikTok and you're like, whoa, this is, there's one thing I want to point out. Lovell Andrew said they reissued 3 Feet High. The only thing that bothers him is that they took out all the samples. So why reissue?
Oh, you're
It kind of
kidding.
destroys the whole song, doesn't it?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Wow.
What's the point?
Yeah. Thanks for pointing that out, Lovell.
Yeah, thank you there. I didn't know that. Wow. Any Wu-Tang Clan fans out there?
What's the question to the other cover? You said it wasn't sold many times.
Oh,
so do I need to sell? Do I need to sell an arm or my eyes to buy this now? Is it expensive? Is it rare?
Oh, yeah. So okay, I'll tell you. So 1989, this came out. All right. So first UK Europe pressing is not as valuable as the USA pressing. I have my notes. For a minty US pressing, it's selling for £100, so about 120 US.
Wow.
Yeah, 120. So that's quite a bit of money, right?
Yeah.
That's quite a bit of money. Yeah.
So Lovell is can't wait for Wu-Tang.
Oh gosh, you know what? I'm not going to do it justice here because I just love these guys. So, you know what? Can I say this? It's 30 years since this album came out. RZA just organized an event in New York City about 2 weeks ago, and it's up on YouTube. Okay, and he organized this event in New York City, and it was incredible because he had dancers. He had a full orchestra. Okay, a full orchestra. So he said on stage that all this time had passed, and it gave him time to kind of reinterpret some of the songs in this album. This is their debut album. And he had samurai swordsmen and these like Shaolin monks on stage as well. Can you believe it? 30 years since this came out. So you can see this is a reissue. It's a special edition, yellow edition there. So I actually got into the Wu-Tang Clan. I had the CD, because I was living overseas, and so I had the CD and I was enjoying it. So it was really nice to have it as a record too. And I just couldn't believe it. I was watching a documentary about these guys, and they're so knowledgeable about this whole thing about the Shaolin Temple and all the different chambers and whatnot. And I think they're really genius. Who would have thought, right? This whole concept, it should not work, right? It just should not work, but it does. And these guys are so wonderful. I'm not gonna read the track listing, okay? But this is great. And then you go on YouTube and find the event that RZA just organized, and it's really great. It's on YouTube. It's about 20 minutes.
Wasn't Wu-Tang Clan the group who made an album and they only released one version and it's a couple of millions of dollars? Wasn't that the Wu-Tang Clan that they only made one album and it sold like, I don't know, for $1 million or $2 million?
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, you can listen to it, but you're not allowed to play it to a large crowd or anybody. And I think that was the Wu-Tang Clan. What a brilliant idea.
I think you're right. That was like a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Right? Didn't they cut one special one?
Yeah, I think so.
What I love about these guys is if you watch their interviews, they're just really they're really nice. You think, I didn't find them really gangster at all. And they're just really fun, great music producers. And I love the fact that they started out with nothing really as far as production values. It was just really low end, and they just did so well. And I love their sampling. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite track from the Wu-Tang Clan, or is it the whole catalog? Is there a special one?
Yeah, okay. I like Protect Your Neck.
Protect
Your Neck. And The Mystery of Chess Boxing.
All right.
Okay. Sometimes, I can't listen to hip hop. I can only listen to one album. If I listen to a couple, it's an overload for me because it's really intense. It's very chaotic. And sometimes there's no melody. That's one thing about Public Enemy. They purposely, that album that they did, the concept album, they purposely did not have any melodies. There was no timing, and it was just really chaotic. And that was for a reason. That's what they wanted to represent. Method Man, yeah. Gazza. Yeah. My go-to record shop, the owner, he's like an expert on the Wu-Tang Clan. So whenever I go in there, he's always telling me stuff about the Wu-Tang Clan. And he says, oh, you know what? He's telling me all this stuff about them. So it's really fun.
Wow. I'm so impressed about the pricing of these records. Really, I'm really, really impressed. Like it's going through all genres. Unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I just wanted to say this is again because somebody asked the link to your channel.
Oh, thank you. I mean, there's just so much out there. If I showed you all the albums I brought with me, like for this one, here's another one I want to show you. Jungle Brothers, Straight Out of the Jungle. Okay, this is 1988. I said earlier, 1988 was a amazing year for all this coming out.
Look at the cover art. This is like it could be in a museum. This is total art.
So they predated De La Soul, and apparently, their music, their rapping, paved the way for De La Soul. Like they were kind of like the precursor of De La Soul's music, apparently. I didn't know that. So I don't know if some of your subscribers recognize this. And then I have this 12-inch. So it's called Boogie Down Productions, 12-inch. Wow. And I think it's really telling the music. stop the violence, my philosophy, right? So, that was very much in the consciousness, I can't say that word, that was the theme, right? Because things were really getting a bit heavy in the hip hop rapper world, right? I mean, we know that things came to a head in the mid 90s with Tupac and Notorious B.I.G., right? Yeah, A Tribe Called Quest too. Well done. Yeah, that too. Thank you. Forgive me if I'm not mentioning everything about. It's just so much of it. Too much, in fact. It's kind of overwhelming.
You're doing absolutely fantastic. I'm learning so much. Like I said, I have here my notebook, so you can see I'm writing down. I'm writing down.
I brought a stack. This is what else here? I got. Oh yeah, so Queen Latifah.
Oh, I love her. Oh my God, what's that? Queen Latifah was that?
Yeah. So
I'll make you big.
this is Mama gave birth to the soul children, right? So she sings with De La Soul, right? So I did this video about the 50th anniversary, and I was saying how some in the rapping community apparently felt that De La Soul didn't have much street cred because it was doing more hippie hop, right? So you got Queen Latifah there. I think it's really cool.
Is this a reissue? Is this
this was not a reissue.
Okay.
It's not a reissue.
Because I love the hype sticker on it. The hype sticker looks great.
Yeah. For sale in UK only, warning. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're talking about do you remember the whole censorship? There was a huge censorship movement in the late 1980s. So a lot of albums had to have, or in America, I don't know about in the UK, but in America, you actually had to have like a warning, like a explicit lyrics. You have to warn your listener about it. It was the law. And then, I mean, I showed these in my video. Big Daddy Kane. I love it.
Hold on, I'll make you big. I need to see the cover.
I love this because the imagery just couldn't be so. I just love it. I mean, he's got this, right, and then on the back, he and his friends or homies, they're playing a board game, right?
How cool is that?
You've got these two conflicting images, right? So they're just chilling, playing a board game.
What's your favorite track on that album?
Oh gosh, I haven't actually listened to this one for a long time. I'll Take You There, just rhyming with Biz. Kind of fun.
All right. And Laurel says one of
I'm sorry, I have to think about it because this whole 50th anniversary hip hop, it kind of caught me off guard. I didn't, because I don't, I have these stashed away in my shelf, right? And then when I realized, I saw the news saying it was the 50th anniversary, like, oh my goodness, I pulled out, I don't have a lot. So I pulled out all my hip and I started listening to it, right? So, yeah, look at that attitude.
Hold on. Oh my God, look at that. Queen Latifah, yeah.
Yeah.
All hail to the queen. Wow.
Yeah.
Where's the crown? Where is her crown?
No. A lot of attitude. So
I think she's one of the few women in hip hop who really, really made it big and is constantly successful.
Yeah.
For like decades.
Yeah.
What was the movie she was playing in? There was a movie, Get Off, or what was it called? Which was a huge success in the 90s, where Queen Latifah, maybe someone in the gallery knows it. There was a movie in the 90s where Queen Latifah and some other women, I think they were robbing a bank or something. That was a huge hit back in the 90s. Maybe someone in the galleries knows it.
Yeah, there's someone that you're absolutely right. I think you raised a really good point. Like, she in her own right became like really a major like female rapper. Like today, you read stories about a lot of female rappers, and they've latched onto like a male rapper first, and then they're cultivated, maybe, or
Mhm.
their profile is raised through someone else. Whereas I think she, in her own right, really made it to the top.
Yeah.
Maybe someone in your gallery knows more.
Set It Off was the movie. Thanks, MZ.
Oh, okay.
That was the movie. Yeah, that was so huge. What a movie.
Oh, wow. So I'm gonna say I have a soft spot for MC Hammer.
Oh, who hasn't? Hold on, I'll make you big. I love MC.
So because he's from Oakland, from where I'm from. So
But you're not
MC
telling me that his records are expensive, right? Because they were sold quite a lot.
Yeah, he sold well. He sold so many records. But apparently, from what I've seen online, like he still gets kind of dissed because he was commercially successful, and he was big, and there's that show in Living Color. I think I mentioned earlier. It was a TV show on Fox Network. Like they made fun of Vanilla Ice. They made fun of MC Hammer. They had skits mocking them, right? But they were hugely successful.
Yes,
And
and I
MC.
think
Hmm.
his trousers inspired. There was the movie Aladdin, and his trousers inspired the creators of Aladdin to kind of draw the same trousers he was wearing, and he
Yeah,
could dance. Holy cow,
yeah.
he had some. Wow, I love
He.
MC.
That's another thing. When you see like Run DMC or N.W.A, they're just standing there. They're rapping. Nothing wrong with that. But he actually raised the game as far as entertainment on the
Mhm.
stage, and he is a huge fan of Rick James. So that hook. You can't touch that. That
Da
hook
da
was
da
from
da.
Super Freak, right?
Yep, yep.
Yeah, so I wanted to show Rick James because he's such a huge fan of Rick James. So, and what I love about MC Hammer too is that he has given back to the community in Oakland. Oakland, it can be quite a tough place, and I like that. I like that fact that once he's become successful, he's actually done something to help the community and neighborhoods where he was raised. So, a lot of respect to that, right?
Totally.
Yeah. So I don't know if tell me to stop.
Please go ahead. We are in such a flow because I want to point out when rapping started in the black belts and the black communities back then, they had these kind of events and collected money and gave it back to the community
Yeah.
to help themselves.
Yeah.
So this is such an important, hip hop is so important to the culture in so many ways, and it's so often underrated. And I'm so happy that we do that because I think hip hop in the vinyl community is way underrated. There's hardly, I think I haven't
Are
seen
there
many
any?
channels who cover that.
Are there
I
any
think,
channels that do it? I mean, there are hardly any for soul. I think you're the only soul channel, right?
fortunately, there are some more, but
Oh,
like with
yeah.
hip hop, it's quite. Also, there's a channel Miss Lady Soul who does a lot of neo soul.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so this, but I hardly ever seen a hip hop channel. I would love to have a hip hop channel.
Wow. Who
Maybe you
does?
should do some more. You're doing fantastic. You should
No,
do some
I
more.
wouldn't dare. I wouldn't dare because I must say this. When I did my video, I got a lot of blowback from that
Mhm.
because in a negative way, because it is such a big genre and it encompasses so much. And I recognize that you can't. It's quite a challenge to talk about something like bands and artists like within 10 minutes because I like to try to keep my videos short. And for me, music is still an ongoing education. So I'm still learning about hip hop now, like the Wu-Tang Clan. I love the Wu-Tang Clan, but I don't know every album that all the other members have gone on to, and I so I'm not like a diehard. I'm just enjoying all the different subgenres of hip hop as well. But I think I hope someone will do it, and they'll really know their stuff, because I think people can be pretty unforgiving. You know, when you say, "Okay, what's your favorite song?" and if you can't name it, then they're going to say, "Wait a minute." You know, you say you like hip, right? You know, so
Yeah.
it's
So,
quite
so,
tough, I
so
think.
the Vinyl Dreamscape wants to know, do you like the Ghetto Boys? My mind is playing tricks on me.
Oh, I don't know that one. I'm so sorry. I don't.
But I love the community. So what we've learned is Rappin' and Snackin' is a hip hop channel on YouTube. Thanks for pointing that out. Then we
Oh,
have
excellent.
the Vinyl Addict. So please come up with more suggestions from hip hop channels.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we can only learn. So there's another one, not a vinyl channel exactly, but Digging the Grades is an amazing channel that covers a lot of hip hop. Awesome. So
Oh,
please come
yes.
up
I
with the channel names.
I follow Digging the Grades. They're awesome. Yeah. So I don't know. This is quite obscure. It would be considered obscure hip hop band. The rappers, Booyah Tribe. Sadly, four of it's made up of brothers. They're from the South Pacific Samoan brothers, Samoan Americans from California. Sadly, four of them have passed, but this is a 12-inch one, and it's pretty gangster, but I think it's so wonderful. The reason why I like it, I mean, the song is really good, okay? The video is fantastic. I mean, they're in a prison and they're rapping, but it's got a really good beat. And what I love about this is that, hip hop, you know, it's attracting not just members in the Black community, right? It could be, it's cross cultural. So I think it's great that you have this, the Samoan Americans, singing the songs there and getting into hip hop. So please look up the video. It's fantastic. Here are the brothers there. They're great.
Wow, look at them. Wow, yeah,
Gangster, right? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But the song is really good. But there's so many rappers are coming onto the scene. A lot of them got lost in the shuffle, right? You got too many. It's just hard to keep up.
So for those who don't know, Digging the Grades, I just looked up their channel. So for everybody who wants to have a deeper dive into that music, I will check that out. So thanks everybody for coming up with ideas for channels to check out. We always learn. And the Vinyl Dreamscape, you have a great collection, Retro. Some amazing music. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, no, not at all. Nadine, if I may, if we're not running out of time, I just want to say that, here in the UK, it's very interesting. Like hip hop, rap, the whole rapping culture, it seemed to have come quite late. For me, because I'm from California, so I have experienced it. So, for instance, it was only until I got these down my notes. It was only until 2015 that they got, 2005, that they got Jay-Z to headline, the Glastonbury UK Music Festival. Have you heard of it?
No, I haven't.
So it's a big UK festival, and then they got Jay-Z to headline the festival, which was a really big deal. I think that was in 2005, and then like later on, a couple of years later, they got Kanye West to headline it. And then later on, after that, maybe 5 years later, they got Stormzy, who was a British rapper. It's kind of exciting to know that, your normal audience, who loves rock and indie music, they're also enjoying hip hop. So I think that's kind of cool. It's never too late.
Yeah. So no worries about the timing, RM. No worries. If you have some more stuff to share, I think the gallery and of course myself would love to see some more.
Well, I thought, I don't know, I love Nana Cherry, and she's considered to be I feel like she's in the hip hop category. So she's the stepdaughter of Don Cherry, the jazz musician. And in fact, you got the Buffalo Stand song. That's my favorite song there. And this whole album is fantastic. I don't know if you can Are you familiar with her, Nadine?
No, I'm not.
Nana Cherry? She's
Um,
Swedish.
oh, really?
Yeah, Swedish. And
Wow.
then Don Cherry, the American musician, is her stepfather. And just a bit of a fun fact, in Big Audio Dynamite, the album I showed you earlier, she actually features in their one of their music videos because she loves dancing. And then Big Audio Dynamite, when they had their concerts, she actually was dancing on one of their backup dancers as well. So she hasn't produced that many albums, but this was basically her debut one, and it was the big one.
Wow.
Sometimes you have artists come out with one album, and then they kind of,
Yeah.
really follow up.
Yeah,
But
sometimes it's very sad because I have some certain circumstances and they're highly talented. So Xantakis, and I do hope I spell it correct. So do you have some Tribe Called Quest?
no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Fail. I know. So I must, Nadine, you must tell them that I was a bit worried, right? Because I said, look, because I got the LPs from the what you call the classic era of hip hop. So that's basically 1980 to kind of early 1990s. I haven't really kind of kept up. I stepped away from it for a while. Then, they got De La Soul, Fuji's, PM Dawn. And then mainly I've been enjoying more,
Hold on, I'll make
recent.
you big. I'll make you big.
So I don't have these on records, but I enjoy a lot of the newer artists on CD, right? So I listen to like Outkast. I don't have anything by Busta Rhymes. By the way, Busta Rhymes, he came out with a record. It came out last week. So he's got new music out. And then Andre 3000, from Outkast, he's come out with, first of all, he stepped away from hip hop. And then he now has produced a new record. And he's gone in a completely different direction, playing the flute, the air flute. So yeah, so people are it's got kind of like mixed reviews, but I'm going to check it out and explore his music, But I must say, I love this hip hop CD, Millennium Hip Hop Party.
Hold on.
I listen to so much because it's got all my favorite songs on here. You got White Lines, Grandmaster, and Mel Mel. You got Walk This Way, Run DMC. You got Funky Cold Medina by Tone Loc. You got Humpty Dance, Digital Underground, Bust a Move, Young MC. It Takes Two, Rob Bass, and DJ Easy Rock. You Can't Touch This. I don't like this song, actually. Parents Just Don't Understand by DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. I don't like that song very much. All right. And you got LL Cool J, Around the Way Girl, Set Adrift on Memory Bliss, PM Dawn. And then you've got Tennessee by Arrested Development. It goes on, like Heavy D and the Boys, Marky Mark. Remember Marky Mark?
Yeah, of course. Who doesn't remember?
You guys know Marky, right? Mark Wahlberg, right? So he was a rapper. He started out as a rapper. Yeah.
And Robin is asking, do you have a favorite MC? His is Biz Marquee.
What is your, okay. So Mix-a-Lot.
So Mix-a-Lot. Okay.
And NMC Hammer. Do you guys know? Someone's got to know Sir Mix-a-Lot, right?
Of course.
Baby's Got Back.
When was that? Was that also in the 90s? Right. Well, it was in the 90s.
I think it was the early 90s, right?
Early 90s, yeah. And Robin says, so glad you shared Nena Sherry. She's not typical what people would think of as hip hop, but that's such an incredible album, and I think it totally fits.
Oh, thank you so much. You know what? I'm so glad you agree, because what happened was when I was going through my records, I thought, what do I do? Do I bring this along? Do I not bring it? Right? But I thought, no, I think she's really hip hop, right?
I need to check her out. I so need to check her out.
Yeah.
Susan, thanks for joining. Yeah, I will. Maybe RM is interested to do another stream sometime again.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Hope
So we
everyone.
have, yeah, Pose on Broadway.
Wow,
They
who's that?
know.
I'm going to follow you. Level,
They
Andrew, are you doing videos? I'm going to learn. I have so much to learn from you as well.
Hey, DJ, welcome.
And this one, can I say, I mean, if anyone's out there who wants to have an introduction to hip hop, I think these CDs really serve a wonderful purpose. So I've got hip hop classics. And so this one's more the the classic era of hip hop, the Millennium Hip Hop Party. This CD is great. And then hip hop classics. Then you have more recent hip hop artists and groups on here. I got these for I think equivalent of 50 cents.
Wow.
Because now charity shops and thrift shops they can't get rid of CDs, so I got these quite a while ago for only 50 cents.
I think compilation albums in general, it doesn't matter in which genre you want to go, I think are a great point to start.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't have to listen to everything because there's so many subgenres. You've got hippie hop, pop hop, rock hop. Run DMC. I mean, this is more the classic era. Or you got the socio hop, but the more recent stuff, I really haven't been keeping up, like the Jay-Z, Eminem. I haven't really been keeping up with their music. DMX, Foxy Brown, not so
DMX
much.
died a couple of years ago, just 1 or 2 years ago. DMC, I think, died, right?
DMC, did he?
I think. I'm not sure,
Oh.
but no, but I'm not sure. But I think one famously rapper died, and he had a drug problem, and his daughter made a video against drug. But I think that might have been DMC. But maybe the gallery knows better than me. And Lovell is having a channel. So Lovell, if you are still with us, please put the link in the comments so we can all check that out.
Yeah. I think after Tupac died and after Biggie Smalls died, I think things changed. That was like a kind of like a game changer. Things kind of toned down, and then hip hop really went commercial, and it was acceptable to be commercial. I mean, I've been watching a lot of documentaries about this. That's how, and reading stuff online, and I thought that was kind of interesting. That after all that, the gangster situation came to a head. Things kind of calmed down a little bit, and then the rappers went commercial and made a lot of money. And they got sponsorships.
DMX.
Oh, DMX. Yeah.
DMX. I'm sorry. You're totally right. Thank you for pointing this out.
Thank
DMX.
you. Yeah. Hey Nadine, I think it's amazing how you can. How do you do that? You're looking at their comments and then still doing this. You're awesome.
We are women.
Okay.
No. Yes, it's DMX. Thanks, guys.
DMX.
So
DMX. Okay. Oh, I like that Devo hat he had on there.
Yeah, Jason.
Rojas.
Yeah, you should check Jason out. He has a great channel, a great collection, and also Coolio also died not long ago.
Did Coolio died? Wow. I didn't know that. I didn't know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough life. I think Coolio had it all, and then I think he had some sampling issues with Stevie Wonder from Gangsta's Paradise, and then maybe life didn't go so well for him, and it got. Well, it's also with Vanilla. No, what was the group which had a girl? It's true.
Oh, Milli Vanilli.
Yeah, also one of these guys died
Yeah.
from drug issues after the whole scandal and everything. So it's I think once you're hyped so much and you're being fallen down on the ground again and very hard, I think that's difficult.
You know, you know what happened to Milli Vanilli, right? It was a lip syncing scandal.
Yeah.
So whoever sang, I actually have their album, and I love it. I think it's a really good album. I'm really happy to have it in my collection because the music's good. Whoever produced it,
And Dave from De La Soul died too.
I didn't know that.
Wow.
Wow.
Guys, do you want us to
Or
kind of wrap the stream up on such a sad note?
yeah. Wow. That's R.I.P. Oh,
Yeah.
you know what? Okay, so I I wasn't sure. Thank you so much for letting me know that. I just don't. It's hard to keep up with news going on with music, right, Nadine?
Yeah. Cool, you became a cookbook writer. All right. I didn't know that. Taste my latest dish, the paradise dessert.
Wow.
Wow. And
DV.
yeah, that was yeah. So I think Milli Vanilli was produced by a German producer who also produced Boney M in the 70s.
Yeah.
And the male vocals you hear on Boney M tracks are not the guy you see in the videos. It's actually the producer's voice. So he kind of did it again. And on Hot Ones, but yeah, that's true, Maurice.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't know if this counts as hip hop. I'm not sure, but I brought it anyway because I thought, oh, they sampled Art of Noise's song "Moments in Love." It's called Moments. Sorry, the band is called JT and the Big Family.
I love the cover art. Look at this
And
cover art.
so this came out in 1990, not long after De La Soul's album. Right, it was very fun. You can right. So it's kind of like the same. It's very fun, and I think they're from Germany or Holland. I can't remember. I think they might be Dutch.
Okay.
But honestly, this whole album is fantastic. So I was so surprised to find it. I actually found it on eBay. Could you believe that? I just couldn't find it anywhere, and it's
Okay.
still in the shrink wrap. And
Wow.
yeah, so I found their song called "Moments in Soul." So they sample Art of Noise's "Moments in Love" song, and it's really cool. And this is categorized. This band is categorized as dance, but I feel like it's kind of hip hoppy as well. I mean, they don't do any rapping, but they do the sampling. So this is called JT and the Big Family, and I think they only came out with one album, and then they disappeared.
Hmm.
But I think they're really cool. So I listen to that song a lot.
A lighter note, the new album by DJ Shadow. There is a new album by DJ Shadow.
Oh wow, who's Mr. Oh, okay, thank you. I don't
Some
know.
good news after the bad ones.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got a lot of more newer hip hop music on CDs, so I didn't want to bring too many. But I think what I showed was really the classic era hip hop albums, and based on how much they're reselling, that's testimony that these are absolute classics. And I think in America, if you get first pressing over there, you're gonna pay a lot of money for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've learned that today as well. It's always kind of interesting to have these streams, and like I said in the beginning, oh, I like that, I like it. Oh, it's 1K. Oh, all right, no, I thank you, but there's a reissue coming out. So that's what I'm learning all the time. Also, some classical records. Most of them, you at least in Germany, you find them in the dollar bins, but some of them are really skyrocketing in price. It's
Really?
unbelievable.
So, classical records, is it hard to find minty or very mint condition?
Absolutely not. In Germany, I don't know what collectors of classical records did, but most of the time you find them in pristine condition. between 5 to 10 euros around that. But some of these records are really skyrocketing in price, like 80 euro, 150 euro, and you're like, oh wow, that's also some reissues are getting superly expensive on that time. Really, it's unbelievable. So I learn every time I'm doing the streams with different genres, because I'm really trying to learn. There's more than soul and disco out there, and I'm really surprised about that. So, guys, I think we are starting to wrap it up around 1 hour and 30 minutes. If you
Oh my
have,
goodness.
it was great. It was absolutely. Thank you, Jefferson. It was.
Oh.
So. If you guys have some questions left here from Retro, let's let her know. And otherwise, I'm trying to convince her to do a second stream with me. I enjoyed that. So I gotta say that the German influence on early hip hop is undeniable. Kraftwerk, for example, by Soul Sonic Force on Planet Rock, and many other tracks. Music brings people
Yes.
together. Yeah.
Yes, actually, thank you, Vinyl Dreamscape. I have this in my notes about I was so nervous. I typed out a bunch of notes because I
Oh
thought
wow.
I don't want to disappoint Nadine. I didn't want to disappoint you.
No.
So I've got this thing about Planet Rock here. I've got to, okay. So Africa Bambata, right? He's a former gang leader, and then
Yeah.
Zulu Nation, right? So you know the whole story. So yeah, it was a Trans Europe Express, or the
Yes.
song from Kraftwerk. So apparently, they got busted, they got sued, and then for the record, Tommy Boy Records had to pay or agreed to pay $1 for every record that they sold, and they sold a lot of records, right? So apparently, Planet Rock is cited as the game changer in hip hop music, because it was more like black electronica, even though they borrowed from Kraftwerk, and then it got a lot of street cred. Africa Bambaataa got a lot of street cred still from his fellow rappers and hip hoppers, because they had never heard that kind of sound. So there was that marriage of Kraftwerk's kind of electronica and then his rapping. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then it was also the first single. It was the biggest selling 12-inch single ever.
Wow. Okay.
Ever.
So this is kind of affordable and available.
It's called Planet Rock. It's on the 12-inch. And then the
Perfect.
Sugar Hill Gang, they got sued as well. They got sued by Chic.
Chic, because Good Times is the line on this one.
Yeah, they got sued. So, and it's hard, isn't it? Yeah. So I think I probably have monopolized everyone's time.
No, you did absolutely fantastic. Really, I enjoyed the stream so much. And like I said in the beginning, it's so rare to have women in the vinyl community, and you're doing a fantastic job. Once again, I put the link to your channel up here so people can check you out. And
thank you.
I love her videos, and it has a kind of artistic style sometimes when she's, especially when you're doing some record hunting and you're showing the footage. I think you wear Superfly records in Paris, right?
Yeah, that shop from the outside, it didn't look like anything to write home about. Okay, you just look at it. When my friends took me there, I was like, okay, is this it? Right? And then when I went in, it was like bin after bin after bin, completely packed. And Nadine, you would love it, because the soul section was just blowing my head off. There were so many I wanted to flip through, but it was so overwhelming. It really was. And I think you would love it. I think you'd end up there all day, camping in there.
So, that's always especially when you're with friends, and when I'm out and I see a record store, they know they can pick me up in a couple of hours.
I have a question for you. Do you normally shop by yourself, or do you actually have like a really good friend who's into records and they go with you?
Most of the time I'm shopping myself, but we have like record fairs up here. I'm sometimes going with Michael 45, who's also having a channel up here in Germany. And also we have this huge record fair in the Netherlands, in Den Bosch. It's the mega record fair. It's like the largest fair in the world. They have
Oh yeah.
huge halls. And usually I'm saving all up my money to go there. It's sometimes, I'm sitting like there, and every time I'm saying, okay, Nadine, this is the last record you bought this month. And like 2 days later, a friend chats me up or asks, hey, listen, I found this record. Do you want it? Yes, of course.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
sometimes it's horrible, but
So,
what can I do? It's I love the music.
so are there any other, do you have a list of artists that you're looking for and you just cannot find? I mean, that you're still,
Yeah,
huh? Yeah.
there's one record I'm looking for 20 years now.
What is it?
It's called The Topics, Giving Up, and it was released on a tech scam label in the late 70s. And the label was called TSG, and the label was created as a sub-label of a larger label. And this tech scam label was created to have a lot of loss in sales so that they can write it off the tax. And
Oh,
these records are so rare, but so tremendously good. And finding this one was horrible. I once flown to Las Vegas to pick up a record from Barbara Harwood, because I was also looking for 20 years for this one. So yeah,
yeah.
there are quite a few records. And, I don't want to go the easy way. I don't want to go because also they're not on Discogs because they're so rare. But I don't want to go the easy way and say, okay, I buy this on Discogs now. For me, it's more interesting to find it in stores, because the records are found in the stores. I know to each and every one where I found it and where I was and how much I
Yeah,
paid. So there's for me, a whole different experience, record shopping.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. I hope I could have a chance to meet you in person and we could do some serious record shopping.
You are in the UK. You are in Soul Dreamland.
I, you know what? I have to say I am. And Northern Soul is really big right
Mhm.
here. So I think the supply, you've got more
Yeah,
choices out here.
yeah.
Yeah, but Superfly, when you talk about Afro beats, hands down, their selection was awesome, really
They
awesome.
also do reissues on some of these rarer Afrobeats records, right? Superfly Records is doing some
They
reissues.
actually press, that's right. So
Yeah,
they find the rare records, and it's fantastic because it has to be. The thing is, these big record companies not going to do it because it's not. They may see it as not commercially viable.
yeah.
So I think I saw Craig Danger post that why aren't there more reissues of soul music,
Hmm.
and I think the numbers probably don't stack up for the record companies.
Yeah.
That's just my view. But
It's excellent.
you do the Beatles, you do Rolling Stones, Graham Parker, Steely Dan. That's gonna fly. They're gonna sell.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and especially when it comes to deluxe editions, you can do this with Marvin Gaye. What's going on? This is also being bought by people who are not into soul because it's a very historical, important album. But for example, Mr. Bongo is doing some reissues on soul records, and Anthems of the North is doing some reissues. But of course, they can't do it as an totally analog production thing, like
Mhm.
a taken from the original tapes and having a nice booklet to it, because like you said, it's too expensive. And do
Yeah.
you really want to pay for a reissue like 150 euros or pound? No. So I have up here a Mr. Bongo reissue of, I also have the original, thankfully, um, of Tom Brooks, I Love You More and More. This has been
Um,
produced by Barry White. And
wow.
before I found the original, Mr. Bongo put out a reissue, and you can see from the cover art they made a scan of the original
Oh,
cover, and it's a digital step. But it's
yeah.
it's a 90 pound, 19 pound, so it's very affordable.
Yeah. That's
But
okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Great.
but you can't expect a deluxe edition of this record because hardly anybody knows it. It's more for the people who are into it, and
Yeah.
yeah, in my opinion, it's getting better each year with the soul reissues.
Yeah.
Also, there was a great reissue of Superfly. I think
Oh,
last
wow.
year. There was a double LP. The first one was made all analog. On the second, you had the radio spot and alternative takes and outtakes, and they made a really great package out of this. So
Wow.
I think we can expect more reissues on Soul, but
Yeah.
not the high-end releases. But
Yeah.
for people who are getting into it, and also with the prices getting higher and higher and higher, it's very important to make these records available to affordable price, also for people just getting into it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially the youngsters who are saying, I can't afford 50 euro for a record, you know.
No, they can't. I bought. I wish I had it here now. I bought Leroy Hudson.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a record. Like a record shop in London. This is. I'm going back 10 years ago. They contacted him and Leroy Hudson, and they came up with an anthology vinyl.
Mhm.
It was so they only had so many runs. You know, it was a small. It was so I managed to snag one, and at that time it wasn't that expensive. So now I think if they were to do it today, because they probably wouldn't be able to get a pressing plant to even do it for them,
Yeah.
because all the big companies like they're all all booked up. So yeah, I think it's so niche, isn't it? You know,
Yeah, that's
very niche.
the difficult. You can't get the mass market to buy this. This is the reissue of Superfly.
Oh,
So
so
and
yeah.
well, you have to and what they added to it, I think there's a poster to it, and what I really loved about it, you also got for your turntable. I mean, that's cool, isn't it?
That is so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's absolutely great, and it wasn't tremendously expensive. And so people are buying this. This is like a no-brainer to release this. People would buy it even because of the cover art.
Yeah.
And you know, so and Superfly is a fantastic soundtrack by Curtis Mayfield. And these
Yeah.
kind of things are like being sold. But the niche artists of soul, like you know, like you mentioned, Leroy Hudson. This is getting very difficult because it's
Yeah.
niche. So we really have to live with what we have at the moment. But like I said, it's getting better. It's really getting better.
Yeah. That Superfly album is it's kind of expensive if you get a issue. So I was at an Amoeba Records. I don't
Yeah,
know if you heard of Amoeba Records.
yeah,
So I was in Amoeba Records in San Francisco early this year, and I saw one. It was on the wall, and it was selling for like $100. And I thought, oh
yeah,
my gosh. But I thought, hey, you know what? Someone will buy it because it was in beautiful condition,
yeah,
and it was beautiful. And if I had, if I had 100, I would have bought it. But yeah,
yeah.
but that
Same.
reissue is fantastic. It's beautiful, right? And it's
Yes,
affordable, 19
it's
pounds.
absolutely affordable. And like I said, the first LP is an all analog cut. And I always forget who mastered it. I'm sorry about this. But on the second LP, you have a single mix, you have a demo version of a song, you have an alternative mix, you have an instrumental, you have radio spots. So that's just absolutely fantastic. And I think it also includes a poster, and you get something for the money, and it sounds great. It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, well done.
So yeah, I do hope, but like I said, it's getting better and better.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you for having me on your channel, and ran a bit over time, but that
No
was
worries.
really fun. Thank you. And
No worries.
I think I hope that soul and hip hop, I think hopefully young people will continue to enjoy these two genres, right? Jazz
Yeah,
seems to be evergreen, but maybe the old school soul, hopefully young people can discover it.
yeah, I absolutely hope so too. RM, thank you so much for taking part. I enjoyed the stream tremendously. And
Likewise, thank you.
And so everybody, I think it was Kevin Gray. I always forget it. Yes, I think also it was Kevin Gray who mastered it. So that's an absolutely fantastic reissue, and it wasn't very expensive, and it sounds amazing. So Yeah. Thanks everybody for watching. Retro, just sit back, don't press anything. And have a good evening, everybody. Thanks everybody in the gallery who joined us. It was tremendously fun. And once again, Retro, thank you so much for having your first live stream with me. Like I said, I feel tremendously privileged to have you on the show. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.